GPR Detroit HD2.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
WGPR FM.
Variety, and when they say something inspirational or like, just make my day.
107.5 HD2 Detroit.
It's that time, y'all. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Yeah, it's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Yeah, it's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. It's straight talk with Valerie. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on.
Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, Detroit? You are listening to the Real Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream, 107.5 HD2, Detroit and Highland Park. If you're on Facebook, you are tapped in to the Real Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream. What's up? So this is the second segment of the Black Pulse. Just like you check your pulse, we're checking the pulse in the black community because it seems like we have flatlined in some areas. So this is not designed for anything other than constructive criticism. And I always say at the end of the show, but I'm going to say at the beginning that I am not trying to spill any tea or make you feel dazed like you drank a shot of cheap liquor. I am just trying to make you see things from a great point of view. Minds. With that being said, tonight's segment is called Divided We Beg, United We Bargain. Again, divided we beg, united we bargain. The integration paradox. Was it progress or a setback for the black community? Well, initially, I think that people in the black community thought that integration would be a good idea. Some things happened, which we will get to shortly, that let them know it was a bad idea. But initially, I think people thought it was a good idea that we can integrate our community. They thought the educational opportunities would be better. They thought that the social benefits would be better, reducing prejudice, access to better education, resources, opportunity, jobs. It didn't quite go like that. There were a lot of negative disadvantages. Economic displacement. We were still laborers doing all of the work and someone else was reaping all the benefits. Integration didn't mean equality. It meant you can come over here with us, but you're going to still do what we say. community disruption. It displaced us in a lot of ways. 375, one of the intersections downtown Detroit leading to downtown, went straight through a neighborhood. People used to live there. They had houses, and now I heard it was a plan that they were going to shut that down and rebuild it or whatever. But my point is, at that time, the people that owned that property or whatever, they're gone. They were displaced. They were moved somewhere else. So if you now turn back the hands of time and say, okay, well, we realized that was a mistake, so we're going to make it a community, but it won't be affordable for those who were displaced, meaning people of color. That land would have been worth so much more if they were just allowed to keep it and keep their homes and their houses there. Overall, integration posed a lot of challenges more than it did opportunity. So let's have a discussion about the integration paradox. Was it progress or was it a setback for the Black community? And I'm gonna bring in my co-host for today, Trishay. Say what's up.
Detroit? What's up, Valerie? The Real Black Coffee listeners. It's an honor to be here with you. And yeah, let's get to it.
So, I am looking for your opinion.
You know, was it a setup? I think we all know the answer to that, right? Because as we'll get into, I'm sure, the community has started to thrive, you know, tremendously. And, you know, when the boycotts were in place, right, you started to hit the pockets, you know, and it's like, oh man, what are we going to do now? You know, let's make them think that we want to come together. See, because they realized even back then that our Black dollar was very, very powerful. And if they could convince us to come together, which they did, so I would say it brought progress to a certain extent, but the ill intentions behind it is why we sit where we sit right now.
Yes, it brought some progress, but the struggle was ongoing. You know, and the phrase separate but equal is mostly relevant to the Brown versus the Board of Education, which we will be talking about that next week. Separate but equal, and I'm not saying I'm against integration. This is not about DEI or whatever. Remember, we're talking about Black history. So we are back. Last week we talked about the Willie Lynch letter and the Willie Lynch syndrome and the things that messed up the mentality of our brothers and sisters that made us the way we are today. So we're just in phase 2 of the Black Pulse talking about this. So this has nothing to do with DEI. It has nothing to do with affirmative action. We're just moving you forward through history. And right now we're talking about that first wave of integration. It had some things that appeared to be progress, but the struggle still continued. The struggle is that main thread of the fabric of America, KKKA, that seems to continue through everything that we're doing. So the struggle continues. So integration hurt the Black community. It made some of us think that they were better than others. Some of us thought that, you know, we have arrived and things are going to be different. That's not really the case. So since we're looking at this from a historical perspective, let's take you back a little bit, and I'm going to play a clip from the Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street. By now, you've probably already heard of it and have an idea of what Black Wall Street was in America at the turn of the 19th century. HBO even made a fictional superhero series about it. If you aren't aware, here's a quick history lesson. After slaves were freed in 1863, Black Americans quickly proved to be faster learners than their slave masters thought they would be, even after intentionally being deprived of formally educating themselves for the previous 200 years. By 1920, one place in particular was widely known as the Mecca for Black excellence. Think Atlanta, Georgia today. That place was Tulsa, Oklahoma. There were Black millionaires across the country like Mary Ellen Pleasant and Madam C.J. Walker. But Tulsa essentially became the birthplace of African American entrepreneurship.
Black Wall Street is in many ways a misnomer, because what the business community in the Greenwood District, the Black community in Tulsa, was more like, would be a Black Main Street. These were mostly small businesses, so there were movie theaters and dance halls and barbershops and grocery stores and restaurants and service providers like doctors and lawyers and pharmacists and dentists, hotels, all manner of businesses that you might find on an American Main Street, concentrated in a segregated Black enclave in Tulsa. Black Wall Street, the Greenwood District, was also a community of necessity. There wouldn't have been a need for a separate Black economic island in Tulsa had it not been for Jim Crow segregation. So they created their own economy, in part, across the Frisco tracks, separated from downtown by those tracks.
Eventually, things quickly changed. By this time, the KKK was also quickly gaining prominence, particularly in the South, and of course, were not happy. After 2 days, the Mecca of Black entrepreneurship became the center of destruction. But most, unfortunately, did not see it that way.
The community was rebuilt after that to a substantial degree, peaking in the 1940s, early to mid-1940s, with well over 200 documented Black-owned and operated businesses. But then there was a second devastation. This was not a devastation affected through violence, but rather through policy.
Black people lost their fortunes and even family members, and were never able to recover. Last summer, Forbes estimated that the Stratford Hotel alone, owned by O.W. Gurley, was worth about $75,000 at the time, which would be $2.5 million today. And that's just one building. Imagine how much money that was lost. This month, there will probably be plenty of media outlets re-educating us about the events that happened in Tulsa. But we gotta take things one step further, because the new Black Wall Street is here, and it's here to stay. Across the country, Black women have become the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. In Tulsa today, the rebuilding has also begun. But the new Black Wall Street is no longer concentrated in one.
I got to get my emotions in check. It's a shame. And they wanted to call what happened in Tulsa a race war. No, it was a massacre. There is a big difference between a war and a massacre. There was no race war. Yeah, the KKK came in and did some destruction or whatever, but that bombing that annihilated that whole town, that was a massacre. And I feel two ways about it before we get into the loss of life and property and all that's associated with it. We have so many opportunities. It reminds me of my hometown in Inkster, Michigan. It's small, and it could be the same thing. It has an unlimited possibility. It's self-contained, and we should be able to have everything that we need. It could be the new Wall Street. And there are other communities like that that can be the new Black Wall Street. The economic impact, Mr. Gurley had a building, a hotel back then that they valued at $75,000, which would be worth $2.5 million today. They were too afraid to let us have that much money. They were too afraid for us to have that because money equals power. They were afraid, and they massacred that city. 200 businesses lost and destroyed, never to be rebuilt again during that era. They are doing some things to try to build it now, but we're talking about back then. So I'm going to let Trisha chime in on how she feels about the clip to give me a time to calm down, because I'm mad as hell. When I watch it, it just angers me to know that every time we're up, they got to try to pull us down. And we'll get to us pulling ourselves down later. But we're talking about right now, Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, what happened then. Give me your feelings about that clip, sis.
First of all, I'm irritated, and I'll be glad when we do get to the us pulling us down part 2, because that is real. But it also goes back to Willie Lynch. We were so taught that, and we just keep it moving forward. But as it pertains to that video, or just the history of it within itself, there's really no words, man. I'm telling you, it's devastating to know that people died. They were murdered. And the audacity to say it was a race war. It's like from the beginning of time, our Caucasian siblings can just say something and that becomes the truth, right? Just like how they discovered America, or how they did all of these things that they did, when in fact the real truth is you murdered people. You murdered people then when you first came here. You murdered people. And let me say this. That's just one of the massacres that we know about, because they don't teach that to us. There were at least, I want to say, 50 to 70 more massacres, including Rosewood. So that part for me too, when they said they don't owe reparations. How long you went around murdering people? You saw people getting ahead. You saw the Black community flourishing. And it still happens right now. Anytime one of us get too high up and they don't like it, they're going to find a way to pull you down. And if they can't do that, sometimes they'll even kill you.
300 people died. Hundreds of homes destroyed. Thousands of residents displaced. And no kind of relief was given. I don't think FEMA was even around then, but nothing happened. I mean, what was supposed to happen, since the government bombed it anyway? So they're not going to tear it up and then come back and rebuild it. But it stopped even the rebuilding because it affected home ownership. Because once that was destroyed, you didn't have any other choice but to try to go somewhere else. To me, they're calling it a war. I say it's a massacre, but that was mass gentrification. Like, they didn't do it one house at a time. It was like, boom, move on. But I'm proud of the residents because it's still an all-Black town. I'm not saying that they are not a potpourri or mixture of Caucasian siblings, Asian, and stuff like that, but it's still predominantly Black. So they maintained it. Mr. Gurley bought that property. He bought that land. The same man that they referenced who had the hotel, he's the one that bought all of the land that became that city. He put his money up because he knew the value. And when I say they had their own hospital, grocery store, I'm assuming, of course, barbershops, because we have a plethora of barber and beauty shops still to this day in our community, and funeral homes. But we need more than that. Yeah, we going to look good, alive and dead. But I'm talking about in between that dash, because the dash is how we live. You got your birth date and you got your death date. The dash is how we live. And this was just an atrocity. I can't say anything except for this is another example of racial destruction that is finally woven into the fabric of America, Amerikakka, that has had an impact on us. We are going to segue a little bit into rebuilding. Before I do that, though, let's talk a little bit about the black boycotts. We say we're going to boycott here, we're going to boycott there. And Trisha and I talk about it a lot offline. We agree to disagree on some things, and we agree on others. For me, until we have enough black Wall Streets around the country, we can't really paralyze the economy and the system it's associated with for extended periods of time, because we don't have all of the resources within our community to sustain that, because it's about sustainability. So yeah, if you tell me not to buy gas tomorrow, I'm gonna fill up today. I can join you tomorrow and don't buy gas, but by Tuesday of next week, I'm gonna need gas. Now, there is a black gas station on Telegraph. I believe that's in Redford. But how long before, we'll run him out of gas, the line will be long down Telegraph, and we could potentially all buy gas there. And I'm going to get his address because it is a black-owned gas station on Telegraph. I believe it's near 6 Mile. However, once everyone flocks there and buys everything that he has, then where we go? We got to get grocery. If somebody gets sick, we got to go to the hospital. So in my mind, when we say boycott, and yes, a short-term boycott, they would feel the pressure. But long-term, we wouldn't be able to sustain that. We would have to break our own rule and go shopping before long. But if we create enough black Wall Streets around the country, we would not have to do that. And Dearborn is a perfect example. It was a white town. They didn't even want blacks living there. They were burning crosses in people's yards and all of that. Now is primarily Muslim culture, Middle Eastern. They don't have to leave Dearborn for nothing. They got a mall, they have a hospital, funeral homes, and everything else. We coming into Dearborn to spend our money. They not coming into Inkster to spend theirs, and we right next door. So I'm going to digress before I'm getting hot, because I'm starting to get like, man, let me calm myself
I
down.
think it's a multi-pronged thing, right? I like the way that I want to say, Doctor, not Doctor, what's his name? Reverend Al Sharpton and a few of the other ones are doing because they're targeted. You go to this store one day, then these other days you still got these other stores you can go to. You go to this store, so it's a strategic plan. So I believe that yes, that is necessary because we have $1 trillion spending habit. If we start to leverage those dollars, then people will know that we mean business and that they're going to have to do something. As a matter of fact, Target done already talking about they rolling back what they said about DEI, and that they're going to look at some, I guess implementing it again. I don't know, even though we have our concerns about DEI. That's a whole nother story. But I think that it's about
DEI,
us.
don't even insult me. That's what the hell that is. I'm tired of all of these acronyms. Kids, no
But the
more
DEI jobs was only 4% black people. This is what I
for
understand.
white women.
Thank you. It was. But it has to be multi-pronged, right? So while we're doing that, we've got to figure out now how we gonna get a gas station? How we gonna get a grocery store? Like Flint. Flint has a grocery store now, black-owned grocery store. There's one in Detroit. We have to understand short term and long term, right? Short term goals, long term goals. Short term, yes, let's hit them in their pockets. Long term, how do we really, right? Not just because, again, we got to go back and shop somewhere. So, how do we break that up into short term, long term goals and really get serious about shopping places and having businesses? What if all the gas stations are shut down? That's a reality. That's something that could happen because white folks don't own gas stations, or neither do black folks. I almost say there are maybe some black-owned gas stations, right? And there are some, right? But for the majority, they shut down. What we gonna do? So I think we still got to be thinking about how we have our own things that support our community.
We are a long way from that. And the reason why I say long in a long-winded fashion, our mentality, jealousy, and hatred become shade. And people will throw a lot of it. I think competition is healthy, but it doesn't have to be mean-spirited and evil. I think that boycotting is okay. But again, if we can't sustain it, because I'm going to spend my money where I want to, how often I want to, how much I want to, when I want to. So let's segue on into this next topic, because the next topic is really causing a rift in our communities and among each other. And that is the term "by black." For me, there is a difference between black owned and a black owned business. And I'm going to say that again. I've been to establishments that are black owned, but I'm hard pressed to find a black owned business. And let me dissect that. I don't mind paying more when I go somewhere that's black owned. I realize you're not a part of a huge manufacturing system, buying in bulk and all of that. I don't mind paying more. Cheap is something I'm not. but I'm not going to pay more for bad service and poor quality. And that's what I get most of the time when I shop black owned. It's almost like I'm supposed to have an expectation that I'm going to wait longer, that I have to settle for less, that sorry is enough if something is not right, and that I don't have the right to complain about it. Oh, well, if it's not right, don't take it to social media because you're bashing. I'm not bashing. I'm talking about my experience. If it wasn't right, I could talk about it, fix it. Now, if I give you the opportunity to fix it, that's one thing. But if you don't try to correct it and you got my money and you act like you don't just give a damn about it, I'm talking about it. So again, I feel that there's a difference between black owned and a black owned business. And I think the mentality needs to change. I don't think people are supposed to just flock to you because you black owned. It's nice, but it's not going to happen. And you know why it's not going to happen? Because our mentality. That is the reason why we are far away from having a black Wall Street, because when they did that in Tulsa, Oklahoma, those were black owned businesses. They were handling their business, they were operating like a business, and they were treating their patrons that come as they were gold. Kings and queens. You're going to get top-notch service. I don't have to wait all day, don't have to be secondary, none of that. It was being handled like a business. Trisha?
I think I try to be careful with this one, right? But I can for sure say that there have been some black businesses that I've gone to where I haven't received that spirit of excellence. And for me, I want the spirit of excellence when I'm shopping, and I don't care where it's at, black on, blue on, brown on, okay? I want the spirit of excellence. If I can't have the spirit of excellence, I really don't want to spend my money. Here's the problem though. I've been followed around Walmart. I've been profiled at certain stores, but I still shop there. I think sometimes we have to have grace, which I know you do, because there are businesses that both of us have continued to patronize, but that level
Thousands of dollars.
yeah, that level of customer service is not always there. So I think the grace is necessary, real hard conversations. And then if that doesn't do anything, then okay, I'll have to take my money elsewhere, right? Because, like I said, I've been in other stores, have been treated poorly too, but I still do go back there. But I understand what you're saying. We have to have the spirit of excellence when we're moving forward in business. That's period. Because if you don't, nobody's going to shop with you. And my thing is this, there are a lot of people that shop with black owned businesses that are not just black. Some black owned businesses have, I guess you would call it what, crossover, maybe. But, and I would say, shout out to Puffer Reds, one of the longest black owned businesses in downtown Ypsilanti. Spirit of excellence. And, don't want to, do a commercial for them or nothing, but I mean, yes, they are definitely have a spirit of excellence, and their clothes are top notch. I mean, they used to have all the top music industry folks there. Just an amazing business. I say that to say that there are black owned businesses that have been around for a long time that do house that spirit of excellence. But my thing is, with anything else, everybody can grow. If because most times people know. When you have wronged somebody in business. When you have lacked integrity in your business. So that's time for you to check yourself, as that's a personal thing, for you to check yourself and want to grow in business so that you can have more customers in whatever your business is. But You know, I like I said, I believe that we should have grace with our people to a certain extent, but I'm not going to keep spending my money if over and over again that spirit of excellence is not there.
Okay. So we're on a little roll here with why it's going to be a long time before we can have a recreation of Black Wall Street. Harlem
Yeah.
is on its way. Harlem has mostly everything that it needs, and they're doing good. But I'm talking about in communities like Inkster. I could say that because that's my hometown. You
I
know,
can see though in Inkster, I could really, really see something like that happening. You gotta think, Black Wall Street, they had theaters, they had churches. I mean, it was everything. Inkster is the poster child for something like that taking place because of all the property, all of the, I mean, it's like the weed business is taking up all the spaces that are there. But think about if we had businesses throughout that downtown or what's considered the downtown area in Inkster. I just feel like it would be so much more booming. It can be more booming than just weed shops, right? And like, so what do we do to get ourselves back to that? We have to support one another. And that's why you keep saying it's going to be a long time before we get to any of that, because we are so cutthroat towards one another sometimes. There's that spirit of jealousy. There's that spirit of, oh, well, I'm doing this, you doing the same thing. I don't care if two people are doing the same thing. You know how many businesses? Okay, there's a Walmart, there's a Meijer. Look how long they've been around. They do the same thing. We need to stop with the small minded mentality and learn how to support one another. Then something like this could be more realized.
we know what we need to start doing. The blueprint is there. So I'm glad you started talking about what we need to stop doing. If we want to have a Black Wall Street or thriving Black owned businesses anywhere, stop asking for a damn hookup. I never been in line at Walmart, Alwasam, MJ Diamonds, Meyer, Snipes. You pay the damn price that's on there. I've never been in line beside somebody at the register saying, I know it's $1.99, but I got $1.40. Can you take $1.40? You don't barter at those places. You pay the price. And I get annoyed. I pay the price. Either I want it or I don't. I'm not getting ready to be like, well, can I get it for 40 or 2? You always want to barter and ask for a damn hookup. Pay the price, and either you want to buy it or you don't. That's my philosophy. I ain't never looked for no hookup. Because guess what? When I'm selling something, what I got going on, it is what it is. Ain't no hookup. And we're never going to get to a Black Wall Street because somebody always want a damn hookup. Stop with the hookup. Pay. You pay for everything else you want, including weed and everything else. Oh, I see my friend Jennifer around here. She is one of the persons who's been in business for a long time in Inkster. She does hair. We've been friends for a long time. And she said she have never ran a special. That's right, because you got that reputation. They know when you come to you, your price is your price. But guess what? They going to come out looking like $100.
Yeah.
You the GOAT. You're going to do their hair, and it's going to be right. So you're not asking for no special, but they're going to get their money's worth. And you've been on Harrison. Harrison boomed at one time, and now look like a ghost town. I stopped by your shop a few weeks ago, and I thought they threw hand grenades down the block. It was so many potholes. I'm glad you went to city council and brought it up so that they can fill them. But I'm telling you, we need to stop with the hookup all the time, because when you go to some of these other, I'm talking about big box places, we are never going to become big box. We're never going to become large brands. We're never going to become any of that if we got that hater mentality. If your service is bad, your prices are high, And people always want to hook up. Now, let me tell you another thing. Quality. I give a shout out to everyone that's starting clothing brands and, all of this other stuff. But when I'm looking at quality, let me break this down for you. I don't want to just get something. I'll support black-owned businesses, and I have to a fault. Because one business, I should have stopped giving them my money a long time ago. So when I say quality, if you got a hoodie with your brand on it, and I put it up against a hoodie from Under Armour, a hoodie from Snipes, a hoodie from Walmart or whatever, I shouldn't just buy your hoodie because you black and you made it and it looked like you pressed that label on there with an iron. I shouldn't have to buy that, because they black and they made the hoodie. No, if you blindfolded me and you put all of this stuff side by side to each other, I want good quality. Then I should be proud to say, oh, I got good quality, I got good service, and they black. This hoodie is bomb. It feel good on my skin, or whatever. I shouldn't have to compromise quality because you black. Period. Remember the Pepsi and Coca-Cola taste test? They kind of look the same. They're blind for you and be like, is that Coca, Pepsi? That's what I want to do. Like, hell, I don't know. I don't want to be like, oh, well, I know this one came from this person or that one came from that. We shouldn't sacrifice quality when it comes to anything. Now, that's when I might sound a little schizophrenic and say, okay, well, bartering might be okay, because if you got, I heard Beyonce got a candle out now that's like $50 or something. Jarrell was talking to me about that earlier. I'm not paying $50 for no candle. I don't give a damn who made it. I will wait for a Bath and Body Works $10 special and go buy me enough candles to last for the end of the year. And that's another reason why our Black Wall Street is going to struggle a little bit, because I feel like, and I'm going to pick on Beyonce, and I ain't worried about no Beehive because my clapback sting is worse than all of them. This is what I got to say. You would not be where you are today if you didn't make money off the backs of our people. When you first started, you weren't crossover and mainstream and all of that. You made money off the backs of our people. Now that you have made it to the level of billionaire probably status with a B, if not multi-millionaire, what sense does it make for you to even charge $50 for a candle and try to put them in the communities where the people who helped you get to stardom are? Why would you even price it that high? And I get the promoters, have a lot to do with ticket prices and stuff like that. But as an artist, she could also say, nah, we're not going to charge $1,000 a ticket now. In my contract, I know that you're promoting, but if your ticket prices exceed X, I'm not coming. So you're making all of this money off the backs of people, which, if I'm put my businesswoman hat on, it's smart, because we don't give a damn. Some people lights don't even work, but they're gonna be at that concert posting. So it works, but it's to a fault. Don't overprice your stuff because you think you can get it. I'd rather have 10 people that pay $10 than to wait on that one person to come through with 100. Jennifer say it better burn 365 days a year and turn on and off by itself. I don't think so. But I think it's a shame that we price gouge each other like that. It's too much. So the hookup, I don't know. I'm just not into the hookup. Whatever it is, I'm gonna pay, but I don't mind paying, so it doesn't bother me. Trisha, what about the hookup?
Well, I am not gonna knock folks who are couponers, okay? Because
Couponing is not the hookup. I'm talking about
it,
bartering.
it is to a certain extent. When you say the hookup, meaning, okay, when I took it like this, like say for instance, if I'm doing business with you and you tell me, okay, this is my price for that, then I'm gonna say, okay, well, I was thinking about what about this? Okay, you saying 12, 13. I was thinking more around about 10, you know. I don't see that there's anything wrong with that. Why? Because I might can go somewhere else where I'll have comparable service and I can get that price. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't think there's anything wrong with it to a certain extent. But when it becomes to be where people get entitled, that's the part for me. Where people, once you ask and somebody say no, then move on. You know, don't get all upset and be like, oh, well, you ain't doing you this and that. No, because guess what? If you're going to be in any other store, you're going to pay that price or you're going to move on. You're not going to go to the register and be like, oh, can I get a hookup? No, you got a coupon. You can get your 30% off, your 30 cent off or whatever. And then you're going to move on. You're still going to buy that product because you need it. So I don't think initially it's wrong for shopping a different price. However, as it pertains to bartering, it just depends on what you had to offer, you know, and what kind of business it is, because no business is in a position to just give the kitchen sink away. I know a couple of businesses around here that they have given to so many funerals. You know, they have done obituaries for funerals and you know everything, but to the point where I'm like, look, you need to start clocking that so you can catch that money at the end because that was an actual donation, you know what I'm saying, that you made. So I think it's unfair to businesses to a certain extent because especially a small business, they're not thriving like a bigger business. You know what I'm saying? So you come in and asking them, you want to pay their price. Well, how are they going to flourish their business if they don't get to mark up some because that's where they're making their money at? You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's just about, do you want to support black-owned businesses or not? If you do, then go ahead and pay those prices. But also, on the flip side, if I'm paying these prices, then I need to make sure that I'm getting quality merchandise or quality items, whatever it is that I'm purchasing. Because I'm not purchasing something where I got to purchase it again because this is worn out so quickly that now it's no good and I done paid. Now I got to go pay again somewhere else. So I think it's a flip side to everything. But I just think people need to set boundaries in business, and people need to be respectful to business owners as well.
So here's the issue. You better get your money while you can, because ain't nobody gonna give a damn about the hookup that you gave them when you can't pay your bills, when you can't pay your taxes and all of that. Plenty of businesses have given hookups and repasses for funerals and $5 lamb chops and all of that. And when you struggle, them damn people ain't coming back saying, well, you know what? She gave me a hookup, so let me give her a couple of dollars. I'll wait. That's why you shouldn't give no hookup. Because when it's time for you, and I'm not saying nobody, but mostly,
Yeah.
when you start losing your shirt, if you have enough pride, you know, you can drop it and humble yourself and say, hey, I'm struggling. I need a community cry out here. I've done repasses. I've done $2 shots. I've done birthday parties. I've opened my door for this and that. And I'm struggling. I'm about to foreclose. I owe taxes. Where's the community at then? Ain't nobody trying to hook you up. So I don't give a damn about a hookup. You better make your money and run your business, not just black owned, a black owned business. When you get to a certain level where you think you can give back, and it's not going to hurt you, that's one thing. But I've seen black businesses go under for whatever the reason, and the community didn't rush in and save them.
Yeah.
So forget a hookup. I ain't thinking about it. Now, you can run a sale every now and then, but to stand there to go toe-to-toe with somebody about your price, if you priced your stuff right and it is your overhead, and you considering your overhead is your lights, your gas, your phone, your materials, your labor, and all of that goes into that $13. You might be able to go somewhere else and get it for 10, but they might not be putting as much into their overhead as you are. And you got to be okay to say, okay, go there. But you're going to sell yourself short, keeping on changing every time. And then when you ain't got it, you can't call that person and say, remember I sold you them shirts for $10 and they should have been $13. Can I get that extra $3? They're going to be like, hell no. So that's why.
I think people support who they want to support. And I think that if we're talking about building another Tulsa, right? We have to really take a look at ourselves and figure out why is it that we think that people owe us something, because that's what it boils down to. You think somebody owes you something, and nobody owes you anything. If you're blessed to have someone that gives you a discount or something like that, that's what that is. But you got to have boundaries. Every business has to have boundaries, flat out.
And I see Jennifer said the sale rack is all the way in the back of the store. That's right. In every store you go to, the sale rack is up front. They might have some signage and stuff on the windows, but the sale rack is always in the back of the store, because they're going to let you see everything they have to offer before you get to that point. So we're going to take a quick musical break just for a second, and we'll be right back.
I'm just trying to do the best that I can as a strong black man. Yeah. Here I stand as a strong black man, having done all I can to please my fellow man. I don't understand why that knife is in your hand. After doing all I can as a strong black man, I'm gonna take my stand as a black man. I will do the best that I can as a black man. I stand on my own as a black man. I'm gonna sing my song. Oh, this is me. So hear my plea. I'm a young black man, down on my knees. I say this world is wrong, and we don't have too long. I'm gonna take this stand as a strong black man. I feel the rain falling down on me. If you could see what's on my mind, oh, you will see. Everyone would be more kind. Everyone would be happy. I'm gonna keep on my goal.
So that was as a black man by my favorite cousin. I have many, but he's at the top. Millard Thomas Jr. as a black man. You can check out his music on iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere that you stream, actually. You are listening to The Real Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream, 107.5 HD2. And we were talking about divided we beg, united we borrow. Did integration hurt us? And we say yes. And then we moved into Black Wall Street, where we were all together as one and had basically a mecca. It was everything that we needed. People were thriving. They had money. They had stores. The KKK came in and destroyed some of it initially, and then after that, they called it a race war. It was not a race war. It was a massacre, and they burned it all down. We are still better off today than we were then in some cases, but I still think our mentality, that post-traumatic slavery disorder, still runs through our brain, through our veins, and everywhere else. And that is part of the problem that we have. So we want to talk a little bit more about solutions. So we talked about having black-owned versus a black-owned business, or any business for that matter. We want quality, we want the spirit of excellence, as Trisha says, and we want competitive pricing. Don't gouge us. But some other solutions. I think we should not judge people. I should be able to spend my money wherever I want to spend it at. Don't judge me if I decide to spend it somewhere else. That's my business. It's my money. I worked for it. I can spend it wherever I want. Don't judge me if I do spend my money somewhere and I don't get good quality service, good pricing, or whatever, and I have a bad experience and I want to talk about it. Don't tell me I shouldn't talk about it. But for me personally, I'm going to talk to the owner or the establishment first and say, look, this is not cool. I've just done it recently, maybe a couple of months ago at the end of the summer. There are establishments that put a 20% gratuity on your bill regardless, even if it's a pop. And then they also have these minimums, 2-drink minimums. Well, I just spent $150 on the restaurant side of your business. You don't have anything posted anywhere that says what your rules are. So when I cross over to the entertainment side of your business, you tell me there's a mandate and that I have to buy so many drinks. What if I don't drink? Well, you're going to spend up to this amount of money on this side, period. Okay. I was going to argue a little bit, but I said, you know what? I'm not going to even argue. I didn't know before, but I know now that however much money I spent on this side of the house doesn't matter. Even though I felt like I should be able to show my receipt and say, hey, I just spent $150 over there. I don't want nothing else, damn it. But no, I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to come on over here. And I ordered a drink for myself and I ordered a drink for Trisha so that we can have the 2-drink minimum, and found out that was supposed to be per person afterwards. Who going to pay for the DUI when I leave this joint? But anyway, that's separate as well. I waited, I'm going to say 30 minutes. It could have been longer. It was longer? Yep, 30, 45 minutes for my mandatory drink with 20% gratuity on top of it. I'm sitting there looking at the owner. So I said, I'm getting ready to go say something to him. So I went over. First of all, he told me he already saw me. Oh, I saw you over there. Hey, I ain't trying to be friendly. I'm trying to tell you that the drinks are overpriced, which is okay. But back to my criteria: quantity, quality, and pricing. The drinks are overpriced. I already spent $150 with you on the other side. These drinks were $17 a piece, and I done waited 45 minutes to get it. Well, why you ain't tell your waitress? I'm telling you, you the owner. Now, he should have said, well, okay, let me check into it. You know what? It shouldn't have taken that long. Drinks are on the house. He said none of that. He act like he ain't give a damn. So when I say it's a difference between black-owned and black-owned business, that's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. So with that being said, we're going to prepare to close out this show, because I can go on and on and on about that. But I just thought I would close out with that story, because I'm not cheap. I'm not trying to tell people how to run their business. You can run your business however you want. I have 2 businesses, and I run them however I want. Nobody's going to tell me what to do, but I do listen. I'm not trying to just dog people. I think it's an atrocity. So with that being said, thank you, Trisha, for coming on. Thank you to my viewers. Thank you, Jennifer. And Uda Dan was on. Say what's up to Uda. We can't hear you, Trisha, but okay. I have a little difficulty going on. But hey, Uda, we're going to prepare to close out. Next week, we are going to be still in the mindset and the lens of the Black Pulse. And with that, we're talking about from segregation to integration. Did integrating our schools hurt us? I say yes. It did. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into standardized tests and what does that mean. We're going to get into all of that next week. We'll start out with the Brown versus Board of Education, and we're going to go through and explore. With that being said, I thank you all, my viewers, my listeners, and you have been listening to the Real Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream on 107.5 HD2 Detroit, where I don't try to spill any tea or make you feel dazed like you drank a cheap shot of liquor. I just try to articulate true and factual statements that will give you a different perspective. Minds. And we're out of here. See you next week.